Hey everybody, here I am with another guideline in Twilight. I'm kind of liking this. It feels very intimate. In any case, here we go. Next one. I think it's a really important one. And I've said versions of this, permutations of this all the time, all over the place. But I'm going to read it to you now, exactly as it is in the guidelines. And it says, here we make the covert overt. If you're asked a question, focus on answering the overt question you were asked, directly and simply, rather than responding to it as a covert general challenge, another way of saying it, instead of seeing it as a threat, or by answering the question you expect or hope or wish you had been asked. This is particularly important if the person asking is Lace. That would be me. This is part of seeing me, a Black woman, and your fellow walker, but also guide on this walk, seeing me eye to eye. We strive to be round and flat in structure, with no one aggrandized or preeminent over another. But dare I say, there are some things I know, and there are at least a few people who might consider me an expert in relational ethics and racial equity, and following Black women in general is an important part of our praxis. Using me as a proxy to learn how to do that well is also important. Let's talk about making the covert overt. I realize that we do things differently here. I realize that very well. And in this case, a lot of times when people are asking a question of you in other spaces, either online or offline, there's usually either the actual or the perceived hidden agenda that's hidden behind the words that are presented, either in print or verbally. So you will hear someone ask a question, and then you spend a whole lot of time clicking through your brain trying to figure out what exactly did she mean by that. I'm going to ask you a favor. Assume I mean exactly what I'm asking you. That there is no coded language behind it, that I'm not trying for a gotcha moment, that I'm not trying to make you look small or humiliate you or aggrandize myself at your expense. That I really am truly going for greater understanding with the spirit of generosity and curiosity. I really want to locate you and find where you are. I realize how hard that is. I'm asking for a lot of trust from you. I'm asking you to go, hey, she's asking me X. I wonder what it would look like if I really just answered X without trying to dissemble, without trying to walk back, without trying to puff myself up or puff out my chest and treat it as a challenge or a threat. I spent a lot of time in both grassroots and electoral politics, and I actually took a course in 2005 or 2006, I think. So 14 years ago, when I was thinking about elective office. And I took, it was a 2-day course, a great course. I learned a lot from an organization called Emily's List, which is a Democratic fundraising arm. It's also a PAC. And one of the things that they wanted to do was get someone other than the usual suspects into the pipeline for elective office so that these women could learn what it looks like to be in elective office and also position themselves to be in higher elective office. So you run for supervisor, county supervisor, or school board, or city council, and the next thing you know, you're running for assembly. The next thing you know, you're running for governor. The next thing you know, you're running for Congress. And Emily's List has done some really great things. But one of the things I learned during that time that was just a light bulb in my head was how to do exactly what I'm asking you not to do. How to answer the question you wish you had been asked. So if someone asked me a question, for instance, like a controversial question, what is your feeling on abortion, for instance, a hot button issue, even now in 2020, and it was a much bigger issue in 2006. So rather than risking alienating either side, either becoming too pro-choice or too, and I hate this too pro-life or anti-abortion, that I could say something like, I'm so glad you asked that question. I value human life from cradle to grave, and I think that one of the great ways that California can become the great state that it could be is if we all valued human life. That is a great answer. I said absolutely nothing. No one knows what my position is on abortion, and that's how a politician likes it. You don't want to be pinned down. You want to be jello. Here we are asking you particularly not to do that. So if I were running for elective office today, I would have what I learned from Emily's List in the back of my head, but I would answer honestly. I believe in pro-choice. I believe in a woman's right to choose. I think that part of that choice can also be an anti-abortion stance, as long as it is not coerced and as long as that stance does not in any way take away from the right of women who have made different decisions and have come to different conclusions. And the same is true on the other side. I believe in pro-choice, but I do not believe that a woman should be coerced into taking that stance. The question is, do we have the generosity of spirit to allow choice for everyone? And can we all agree that once that child is born, that we will do everything that we can to succor and nurture that life instead of leaving it on the delivery table and blaming the mother and later the child? Now that is an answer that takes risk. That is answering the question exactly as it was. And I risked alienating people on both sides. And that has to be okay if I am going to live in alignment with my values. By the way, it was one reason I decided I could not do elective office, because a lot of times you are doing your best. Think about Supreme Court nominations where people are doing their best not to have an opinion at all, not to have anything to hang their hat on for other people to um, do their own gotcha moments on. No, no. If that is what it means to be in elective office, I knew that I couldn't do that. I knew that I would have to take the risks necessary to be able to say, hey, this is where I stand on this in this present moment. In a structure like ours that is round and flat, yes, I'm the 800-pound gorilla, but this gorilla does not have toxic authority, and I try very hard not to have toxic authority. I do have ultimate responsibility and accountability. That is why I try very hard to actually give very granular responses to direct questions that people ask me, even when I know that that might be an answer they don't like. One of the things that I have said a lot in this space is that I need to have each of you in my mind when I sit down to the keyboard to write, or when I have that light turn on the video, and then I need to forget you. I can't pander to you either way. I can't say things just to be provocative and incendiary, nor can I pander to you and say things that you're going to like. That is one reason why when I was also considering getting ordained, that I knew I would never be able to be in a megachurch. What on earth can I say to 10,000 people that's not going to make half of them get up out of their pews? And so that is why you see a lot of people doing non-answers in speeches, in sermons, in answers to questions. What would it look like if people simply said what was on their mind and in their heart? And here, that is exactly what we ask you to do. In terms of being here in this space with me as a proxy, it is important that you learn how to be able to speak to a Black woman, in this case me, and then generalize it out to other Black women, other people of color, is that most of you have not had eye-to-eye discussions with people who look like me. It's always been top down, or when you try to make it more equal, you wind up bottom up. So you're doing this supplication. So you're doing this fawning and you're calibrating. What can I say that's going to placate Lace? What is the right answer? What's going to get me the A? Let's all take it down a notch. You all get A's. So if you knew, and this is a question that my mentor slash coach slash thorn in my side asked me right when I was talking about wanting to leave the county. In fact, he asked, Peter did, so what would your life look like if you knew you could not fail? If you knew that there were no wrong answers? If you weren't searching my face for either reinforcement or disapproval? What would you say? How would you live? And I froze. That's mind-blowing. What if I spoke my truth without fear of the other? That does not mean dissociate myself from the other, disengage from the other, but that means I am going to meet you naked and let the chips fall where they may. I am going to concede something else that I feel I need to say because I understand that I'm asking a lot of you, certainly more and differently than other spaces, either online or offline. I know that I am asking you to take a risk. And like I said before at the beginning of this video, our job is to make sure that we hold you gently and well so that you know, I don't know why I got all that extra light, but here we go, that we hold you gently and well. That you know, and there it is, it goes in, it goes out, that we hold you gently and well, that you know that even if I wind up challenging you, even if I don't necessarily agree with you, that it's a safe space to have this discourse. And the converse is also true. I don't expect any of you to swallow my fish whole, okay? Bones and all. That's fawning. That's fawning. I do hope that there are some things that there are some foundational things that we can agree on, that racism is real, that white supremacy is real, and that we are both here in service to dismantling it and towards the furthering of our North Star, which is everybody, 1, 2, 3, lessening and mitigating the harm endured by Black and brown people, perpetuated by white people and white supremacy like us. But then there are some things when we get more granular and when it's less binary, less foundational, where you can say, Lace, I'm not sure I agree with you. I am going to make a forceful case for what I think because I've been thinking about this stuff for years now. But that doesn't mean I'm not open to other perspectives, other nuances, another set of eyes. There is not an essay that I have written in 2.5 years that has not benefited from 1 or 2 or 10 other sets of eyes going, did you want to put a semicolon there? Maybe this is not what you should lead with. Maybe you should put it down a couple paragraphs. I'm not coming to the same conclusion you did. Can you walk me through how you got there? That I can totally live with. And so if I'm asking you, walk me through your thought process. It's because I want to locate you, which is also a risk. We've talked about this. Fear of being known and seen, including by me, sometimes especially by me, competes hard with wanting to hide, wanting to not be seen, wanting to not be known. And so we're playing a game of very blind battleship, right? And one way to make sure that I never locate you is to never speak or to give deceptive sonar, which is exactly what I did earlier when I gave a non-answer to the abortion question. No one can locate me. No one can find my battle sheet, either to ride in it or to sink it. That is a defensive posture that I am asking all of us, including myself, including my staff, including my leadership team, including you, as we lay down our arms. That takes a certain level of risk, and that is why it is crucial that we be a safe-ish space, that we make ourselves safe and thereby our community safe to tackle sometimes topics and issues that are not inherently safe, that the world says is unsafe and that we should never touch. They're radioactive. We hit on the radioactive, and that is why we make sure that what we are talking about never supersedes the people that we are becoming and the community that we are becoming. So take a risk, even a small one. We promise to meet you right where we are and where you are, and that we will not let you fall on hard concrete. We are here so that we can be each other's ground, where people can stand when their feet are sore. That's from Padrago Tuama, and if you have not listened to that On Being audio, I suggest that you do, that we become places where tired feet can stand. I to you, you to me, each of us for the other, for people that we will never see. And I promise you that as we become more and more soft, fertile, giving ground for people to stand, that we will see greater engagement. But that means that you need to shore up your back muscles and your shoulder muscles so that you can really do it, because there's nothing worse than saying, climb on my back, and then you collapse. We are here to shore up muscles. We are here to be fertile ground. We are here to plant orchards. I love each and every one of you. On to the next guideline.